It is about 8 a.m. right now. It's gorgeous out. What I was thinking about this morning is how my life truly turned around from making $0 of income, living in my dad's basement, having very low self-esteem. I had some friendships, right? But they were like, I was really pretty insecure about friends and friendships. I felt like I didn't have a lot of loyalty in my life. I had an eating disorder since the age of 11. I had been anxious basically since the age of 16, was on antidepressants for like 10 years. And all of that ended and actually flipped around 180 to a place where I am now, where I get to, I make an abundance of income. In fact, once I started implementing what I want to talk to you about, my life so dramatically changed that it's like so obvious that it has to be tied to that. Like I was saying, I made an abundance of money that I was not expecting. I attracted my new best friends like immediately. The friends that I already did have, those relationships got so much better. I ended literally a 2-decade-long stint of anxiety. I never had to be on antidepressants again. Which I was on Prozac again, like for at least 10 years, I think it was. I even dropped out of college for it. And I think I said this, but the company that hired me paid me $10,000 to move to the city that I wanted to move to. Like all of the things that I wanted, just like blossomed and happened. So this was like 5 years ago. And it all comes down to what I want to talk about that really shifted with me, and I think has helped me so much in my life to think this way. So, you hear a lot of people talking about, law of attraction and the law of assumption and those kinds of things. And a lot of times it's kind of like wooey, kind of sounds stupid, kind of meh thing. But in my experience, that concept of you get not what you want, but you get what you are is so freaking true. That is the framing of how I want to talk about this in my experience. So before, when I was anxious, depressed, lonely, sad, making no money, broke as hell, like I could not think about my problems all the time. I kept looping every single day. I'd wake up in the morning and all I would do is try to problem solve. It was almost like the first thing I would do is wake up in the morning and I would just immediately think about those problems and I would just need to solve them. What I didn't know at the time is that kept me stuck in a frequency, literally a frequency, stick with me, I know this can be a little wooey, a frequency that was, for lack of a better word, in general summation, the net result was negative. And it kept me thinking about my problems. It wasn't until I started to, pay respect to this concept of you create your reality and you are equal to what your frequency is. You get not what you want, but you get what you are. And so what I started to do in my day, the second I would wake up, is rather than think about my problems, I started to really think in terms of frequencies. Meaning, to summarize, we are all made up of atoms, right? And even, before atoms, it's quarks. That's so far as we know in science, that is what makes up all matter, is these atoms, and the atoms are made up of quarks. And everything in this universe, so far as we know, again, so far science is evolving, but it all vibrates. Everything vibrates. It's kind of crazy, but this phone that, I'm talking on right now vibrates. This like rock thing that I'm sitting on is vibrating. I am vibrating. Everything does. And so we have our own frequency of vibration that happens at, it's fluid. It's happening all day, every single day. And so what I started to recognize is that the things I was thinking about, I kept getting. And when I actively started to shift my attention and the things I noticed and actively worked to raise my frequency, which again is kind of an out there thing to say, but when I really did make a conscious effort to start thinking like that, that is when everything flooded in. So how did I do that? For example, let's just take it in terms of a framework of, let's talk about friendships. I was surrounded by friends who I think they had their own things going on. They had their own stuff going on. I don't think a lot of the stuff that was going on around me as a result of them was my fault, but we were attracting one another, right? You get what you are. And so there was something in me that was not being as loyal or as good of a friend as I could be, because that's what I was getting back. So I had to really start to just recognize that I needed to get my shit together as a friend. And that was, I wasn't a bad friend, but I think in ways I wanted to make sure that people liked me. So I wouldn't lie, big lies, but I would micro lie to protect people from seeing the real me. Like if somebody asked, as an example, if somebody asked me to hang out and I honestly didn't want to hang out because I was just tired and I wanted to go home and do nothing, rather than just saying I wanted to go home and do nothing and being honest, I would make up some thing that like, oh, I have to do this thing that I can't hang out and sorry, we'll do next time. So it was just like a dishonest response. The right response, the right friend thing to do would be to say, I'm really tired and I love that you want to hang out with me and I'm so excited to hang out with you next time. Today's just not a good day because I want to do me for a little bit. But because I wasn't being straightforward, I wasn't being honest, I wasn't being a good friend in that way, I was trying to kind of manipulate the situation. That's what I was getting back in return. So I changed that and my results that I got back changed. Another thing that changed was my, and this has been something that's been over the last 4 years since I was doing carnivore. I think a lot of people, I started carnivore 5 years ago, but I really started to learn this over the last 4 years. I used to I started doing carnivore because I wanted to, look better. I kind of did it as a way to just for vanity. What I didn't know was going to happen, and the reason I became a carnivore coach is because it made me end anxiety and depression. It ended an eating disorder that I'd had since I was 11. Like it was a whole lot of things that went better as a result. And still though, I would find myself going back into old eating disorder habits while doing carnivore. Every 3-4 weeks, I'd binge eat. Why? I don't know. I'd snack on these little things sometimes here and there, not all the time. I'd go from being really, really strict on carnivore, following all the rules to, for like 3-4 weeks to then falling off the bandwagon, which is so common. You hear that all the time. And I had to realize that the reason that was happening for me is not because carnivore wasn't working. It's because I was not being a healthy person. I was not thinking like a healthy person thinks. Therefore, my frequency was that of like a lower frequency when it comes to my relationship to food. So I would, nibble on little drinks or on little snacks here and there. I would drink Diet Dr. Peppers and diet sodas. So my thinking of reality was that, fake sugar and these sugar-free drinks are still, they're fine. Like I'm gonna cut calories. I just want to cut calories and not have enough so I can continue to lose weight. That's not a normal thought process for healthy people, right? Like I didn't even know that, but healthy people who have a good relationship to food, they don't think like that. They think like food is helpful, food is good for me. Food is going to give me good things today. I need this fat, I need this protein. It's like good for me. They're almost like grateful for food, and they're almost like super receptive to what it brings them. They're not like hyper counting the calories and all that kind of stuff. That's again healthy people. So I had such a pattern of just thinking about all of the negative things that would come from food, the calories, the obsessive thoughts about macros, how much I need to burn in order to lose weight that day, that kept me in this frequency of being stuck in that yo-yo dieting thing. It wasn't until I shifted and started to really look at food and trust it and really trust it, like be like, oh, okay, like I'm supposed to eat food. Food is here for me as a way to make me better. Like I should be grateful for this food that I have. I should be trusting that it's going to help me. And once I started doing that, and then I also stopped the habits, those little habits of just having the Coke Zero or having the fake sugar or just having a little bit of ice cream and like thinking that I could get, cheat the system, or like picking at food here and there, which I always did. That's an eating disorder tendency, like just picking at your food so you can kind of like selectively pick your calories. Once I stopped doing that and really just started to eat real food, real food from the, earth, single ingredient foods, I cut out all the bullshit, all the fake things, stopped lying to myself that it's all calories in, calories out. That is when the consistency in carnivore came, and the results came, and I don't struggle with any of that anymore at all. And that's been 20 years that I struggled with eating disorders. So again, I had to become the person that I was aiming to be, not just like fake it. I had to become a person who trusted food, who worked with food, who ate food, who like a healthy person mindset around food. So again, we get what we are, not what we want. The last example I'll use is when in business, I find that there were so many times when I was younger that I was so insecure about my intelligence. I was like, I don't know if I'm like that. I'm not sure if I'm that smart, because like school was hard for me, honestly. I had to try in school. And then when I got into business, basically I started out in sales. And in sales, I had to kind of pretend I was doing all cold calling. I really had to pretend that I was somebody of importance and I had something really important to say, because I was cold calling companies that were run by like former pro athlete sports guys who had big egos. That was just the industry. So I had to level up in my speech, in my pretend confidence. And over time, what that did for me was I actually started to believe in my own importance and my own intelligence and my own relevance in what I had to say to them. And it ended up that I went from being like just a measly like salesperson, just kind of whatever doing this job, to then I became the head of revenue operations, and I started making 3% of every single sale that came through that business, whether I sold it or not. And we had like 20 people selling. So my confidence, my self-perception, my belief in myself elevated. My frequency, literally I practiced it. I faked it till faked it till you make it? For so long that practicing over time actually really did elevate the real thing. And then as a direct result, the energetic exchange of that was quite literally more money and more, career opportunities and leadership opportunities and management stuff and all of that. So I wasn't able to act. I would have never been able to have access to that stuff and money and all that had I not truly elevated my frequency and raised my self-concept. So every single day we have this ability to wake up and totally start fresh. And we can really wake up and create a new frequency that very day. And every single day I do that. I do it in this thing called the magic book, where more or less it's a method of training myself, training my reticular activating system, but also elevating my frequency to notice all of the freaking good things that happen to me every single day. Like, for example, tomorrow in my magic book, this situation that I'm in right now is for sure going to be in there. Like, how gorgeous, how gorgeous is just my surroundings at the moment. But I think because we are human beings and we're meant to survive, we are habituated to noticing a lot of the negative things that happen, so I used to forget to notice all of the good things that happen, and therefore my frequency stayed low. So as a practice, I started to truly write down, and this isn't a gratitude book, it's different, it's a frequency elevation process. I started to truly notice and write down everything good that happened to me the day before, everything great that makes me feel good. I would do this while listening to super uplifting music that was like really inspiring. But I would do this after I primed myself in my day to think in terms of frequencies. Like literally today, after watching this, you have a choice. You have a choice to just become the person that you want to be. Kind of like I was saying on the cold calls, I just pretended to be the person. I have a friend, he's one of my best friends in Denver, and we had a mutual friend who just kept saying like, I want to start this fashion business. I want to be an online like fashion coach kind of, and you know, I want to be involved and like be the fashion guy in Denver. And my friend was like, why don't you just do it? Just do it, just start. And he was like, well, what do you mean? He's like, just decide to do that. So literally, I think it was a month later, the guy who wanted to be the fashion guy just started putting out on Instagram his work, his fashion, him modeling these clothes, everything that he wanted. And boom, out of nowhere, like a month after that, he hosts this party that was like an expensive party. It was $60 and in this really nice hotel. And he had an RSVP that was completely filled, like 100 people showed up. He made money off of that event, and he solidified his identity and his presence within the community as the fashion guy. He didn't have to go to school for it. He didn't have to get a certification for it. He just decided one day to become it, and he became it, and then he got the reality that was equal to that, where now everybody goes to him for fashion. His social media took off. He hosted that event with $50, $60 tickets. Everybody showed up, and now he is that person. He just is. And he elevated his frequency. The opposite of that would be questioning oneself, saying, oh, am I good enough? Can I do it? Do I have the certification? Like, screw it. Like, today, it's just a matter of just deciding who you want to be and then being it. So, like, for me, today is a great day. Like, I'm so lucky. And, you know, I feel like there's so much good around us that we don't recognize because we're so bombarded with all of this negative information about things that don't really need our attention. I'm just going to choose to look at the things that really do make me happy. And as a direct result of that, I'm going to slowly raise my frequency. And as a result of raising one's frequency, you get what you are. So only things that are on that frequency can come to me. There's no necessary, you don't need to manipulate things. You don't need to force things. I've learned, like, I don't need to hyper engineer the food thing. I didn't need to hyper engineer my sales thing. I just needed to be it. And I got it's equal back to me, whether it's money or the body I want, no anxiety, no depression, the friends, all of it. So yeah, honoring the concept of frequencies. I have been putting together a workshop now where I'm going to host basically a live stream where I'm going to do the magic book with you if you are interested in doing this, so that you can kind of learn my methodology. It's not the only methodology, but maybe it would help if you're interested in that. Go ahead and comment below magic book, and I will send you a direct link for that that time and location so that you can have it, and then we can all do this together, and more or less I can show you how I elevate my frequency every single day. But for now, start with watching this. I have other videos that might help with that thought process too. Literally brainwash yourself to think about your day, your mood, your thought process in terms of frequencies. Listen to some dope, uplifting music, right? And just notice, just notice everything good. There's so much good. There is so little things, so much good. And I hope you have a great day.